Yo, what up? Welcome back to the channel. Today we are going to be working on this guy. Toyota World Runners is proudly supported by Fireplace Performance, Western Driveline. Trying to get this guy back on the road. If you're new to the channel, this guy's been off the road for like 2 months since I completely exploded the front end, blew both perfs and the front diff in one fell swoop. If you're not new, well, then you know kind of the trials and tribulations I've been going through to get this thing working properly. So today we are doing some exciting things to the rear end and the suspension, which I will walk you through. So what we're going to be doing today is swapping out the rear diff in this to a selectable locker. It's an e-locker, but I'm actually going to convert it to cable locking, which I'm stoked on. We're doing the whole housing. I'm not going to modify mine. We're swapping the entire housing for an e-locker housing. Because this housing is completely bare, there's no leaf perches, there's no shock tabs, I'm going to weld new ones on and swap the entire housing. But it's also going to give me the opportunity to redo the rear leaf spring setup on this truck, which has a super cowboy rowdy ghetto double shackle thing. So we're going to ditch that. We're also going to have the opportunity to ditch the 1-inch block that's on top of the leaf perches here that's actually been broken and held in with tie wire for like 3 years. Basically redoing the whole rear suspension, putting e-locker, cable locked, putting a cable locker in the rear, and putting the lock right that's in the rear up front. And then we're going to install some brand new chromoly bursts and axles. So lots of work to do. Let's get started. New leaf perches. These are nice long ones. They're longer than standard, and 3 different center pin holes. All this stuff is from West Shore Spring and 4x4. They can sort you out if you're on the island or local. I've got new shackle hanger here. It's all nicely key cut, so I can weld it together. And then we got these for the top of the shackle. We got new U-bolts, greasable too, which is nice. Got new U-bolts, and then this is the cable actuator. So you pull the cable, and this is what will lock the differential. We'll be setting that up. I got this used, so I'll be showing you how that works a little later. Protein containers make great diff fluid catchers. And then you can just put the lid back on. unloaded, Jay. That's the most extended I've ever seen it.
That was cool back in the day. I mean,
yeah, that's like a 15-inch shackle. Yeah. We got the shackle hanger cut out on that side. I still got to cut this one out and clean it up. Cut this guy out. Also, weld up these guys. I have to weld these up. These are the new shackle hangers. That's better. So yeah, these pieces are all key cut, which is nice. So we got that. That's gonna go in there. That's what will hold the bushing. This is definitely a beefier setup than the trail gear ones. It's probably overbuilt, but I'm happy with overbuilt. And then that guy gets welded on there. Like that. Looks kind of weird now, but we'll tack it all together and then it'll make sense. So here we go, we got it kind of tacked together in there. Grease fittings right here. We're gonna have it set up like this. This is gonna be the front of the truck. And then so the shackle will be the rear like this. So we got a bit more welding to do and get her done. Not bad for amateur welding. All right, this will be the most challenging part for me because I have to weld in a circle, which is not as easy as welding in a straight line. So I can get this thing to stay in place. So I'm gonna tack it on one side and then run a bead, make it look as good as I can. Oh yeah, not the worst looking weld. Is it Fabsol quality? Nowhere close, but will it work? Absolutely. All right, we got to talk about Shackle Angle for a moment here. So don't mind this ropey leaf spring. This is just serving for demonstration purposes. So when we're setting up a new shackle angle, we have to determine if this is the rear of the truck, where we are going to weld in our shackle hanger, what distance it's going to be for us to get the optimal shackle angle. For me, the shackle angle that I want is about 30 degrees. So I have to figure out where on the frame I need to weld my shackle hanger. There's a couple ways to do that. One of the easiest ways is you take the datum line. So the datum line is a straight line drawn from eye to eye of the leaf springs.
and you go 90 degrees from that. So you draw a straight line here, and then you go from 90 degrees from that line. That's gonna theoretically give you the most optimal use of your leaf springs for up and down travel. There's also a formula you can use to find the distance from the eye of this point to the center of where your shackle hanger will be. So from here to here, eye to eye. The formula is that distance equals the length of your spring. So in this case, in my truck, we're using 63s. Length of the spring minus the sine of your desired shackle angle times the length of your shackle. Super heady, so if you want to get into some math, you can use that formula. You can use the datum line to 90 degrees, or you can forget that and just tack the shackle hanger in, bolt the shackle up, and put it on its weight and keep messing around until you're happy with the shackle angle. Either way, trial and error will get you there eventually.
I used a combination of all three of these formulas and trial and error to get the right shackle angle. I also picked up a piece of information from Jason, whose shop that I'm using, and he remembers, because he's done a ton of Toyota builds, that when they swapped to 63s, he moved the shackle 3 to 4 inches back. So based on all that, we tacked it in a couple different spots and finally came up with an angle that I was happy with when the truck was on its weight, and then we burned them in. Driveshaft angle. So because I'm using a double cardan joint on the front, see this guy? There's 2 U-joints in there, and then there's just 1 U-joint on the back. That's just a single, right? 1 U-joint, 2 U-joints. So the way you set up a double cardan drive shaft is you point the pinion, you point this guy straight at the T-case. Whereas if you just had a single U-joint on both ends, you would 50-50 it. So you would have half of the angle here and then half the angle up top. I hope that makes sense. So yeah, if you've got the double cardan, you just point the pinion straight at the T-case. If you're running a single U-joint, then you've kind of got to 50-50 it. So you've got equal angles on both U-joints. So we have to figure out the angle to set my leaf perches, because that's what's gonna set the angle of the axle. And once we do that, we're gonna tack them on and get it under the truck. Not sure how well the camera's gonna focus on all this, but we gotta figure out the angle that this pinion is sitting at. So we got this little angle finder here. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna set this on the current leaf spring perch and then 0 it. So that's gonna be our 0. And then we're gonna set it on the face of this axle here. And that should be our angle. So we got 10 degrees. So we need to angle our pinion 10 degrees from the perch. So this is what I was measuring, if you couldn't see in the last clip. I had this on the other axle, and I zeroed it out and then held it up to here to figure out what pitch the axle is at. So now we just have to do that in reverse. So what we're gonna do is zero this one, and then bring this over here and set it to 10 degrees. Well, we gotta make sure we get 10 degrees the right way. 10 degrees this way. squeaking like a bastard. Alright, so we made a bit of progress off camera. Got the new housing in, and I've just been trying to set the pinion angle like I was describing earlier, because I want this pinion pointing directly at the T case. So there's no angle on this U-joint. So I cut the tacks off on this, so the weight's on the truck, and I cut the tacks off the leaf perches on both sides, and then just lifted up the pinion and then eyeball it to make sure it's like perfect. We were pretty close with our 10 degrees, but it still had to go up just a tiny little bit. So we're looking good now. And yeah, it was helpful having the drive shaft in to see the angle. Anyway, yeah, we're going to, I had to cut the shock tabs off, but we're gonna burn in the leaf perches now and then put the shock tabs in, and gosh, then we're almost finished the rear. Then it's just the E-locker. Then we just got to put the cable actuator on. What's the fun part? So here we go. So we got the rear axle in. You know, just a lick of the old gloss black. I'm kind of bored with painting stuff for a wheeler, honestly. It just never stays pretty. So that's why I'm not really waiting until any of this dries, because it's just gonna get filthy. Oh, don't tell me this is not gonna fit. Oh, no way. Damn it, and I just painted that too. Nice, now we're rocking. Moment of truth. Boosh. Looks like a truck. Nothing fell off, so that's good. Alright, you guys gotta check out this cable actuator I picked up. I'm super stoked on it, how simple it is. So this is the plunger that there's two tiny little Allen head screws here. So what we do is we just back those off and then tighten them on the pin that's inside the diff. So that'll go in there. We'll tighten these on so it'll be attached. And then this clever little thing is going to go inside there. This threads on. Like so. And then this will be attached, obviously, and then when we pull the cable, boop, it pulls the plunger. We're very up close and personal here. I don't know if this is going to be in focus. I hope it is. This is going to be exciting if this works. I mean, I'm assuming it's going to work, but there's always a chance that these things don't. It didn't work.